The demons taught me to.
Hi guys, it's Oni here, and today I'm bringing you part 1 of What If Deku was in Girl Bravo. You guys may be asking yourself, how is our sweet cinnamon roll going to be stuck in this universe? Well, if you guys actually know what this series is, basically, this series only has 5% men with 95% being women. And any single time a man comes near women, they basically get hunted and used as sex slaves for kids. That's basically a rough understanding of what that world is. There's a low percentage of men with a higher percentage of women. In this, I would probably make Yue still a high school, but Izuku would be around about a year or a couple of months older than what he would be in the original canon. Instead of his birthday being on July the 15th, it'll be on January the 16th. So that makes Izuku a little bit older, so it doesn't seem this as weird. Because in the original anime, the actual protagonist is around about 16. And thanks to the time skip, the actual official My Hero Academia episode 2 presented on the screen when Izuku finished his training. He finished it on February, so Izuku would be around about 16 here. I'm going to start rambling on and let you guys enjoy the video. We are going to start our video off with Izuku's last day of middle school, as Izuku was approached by two female classmates of his, as they both threatened him to clean up for them. As Izuku tried to intervene with this, what they were trying to say, but they both snapped back at him saying, "Do you really want to be seen more like an outcast, you little Deku?" They both screamed at him, as Izuku cowered a little bit and just said yes. As Izuku walked into the class and started cleaning, as Izuku tried to reach for the top of the board but just barely reaching to clean it. As the teacher walked in complaining about Izuku leaving a little bit of mark on the board, as Izuku just sighed and cleaned it off. After when Izuku finished his cleaning, Izuku packed all his notebooks up and left for that day. Everything would have gone like the same as the original anime. Izuku would have been captured by the sludge villain and almost been suffocated by it, but he was saved by All Might, throwing a Texas smash at the sludge villain, dispersing it all across the walls of the alleyway. "Excuse me, sir," Izuku said, waving out his notebooks in his hand. As Izuku said, "Could you please sign this?" As All Might opened to the page where he signed, as Izuku would have bowed his head saying, "This will be an heirloom for generations," Izuku said, being happy about it. But there was still one thought at the back of his mind. Just like the original, Izuku would have grabbed onto All Might's leg, All Might launching out into the air. As All Might tried to shake Izuku off, as Izuku just screamed at him, "If you let go, I'll die!" Izuku shouted. "Oh yeah, right." As All Might just landed on the roof, as All Might coughed up a little blood because he knew he was out of time. Just like the original, All Might would have de-transformed in front of Izuku when he was asking him his question. As All Might just shut him down and said, "No, you can't be a hero. Try and figure out something that else is a noble profession, like a police officer, fireman, or even people who work in the NHS or anything like that. Go for another normal profession. Being a hero is something more than just being quirkless," All Might said, shutting Izuku down more than the original. As Izuku was walking home, but then he heard a giant explosion, as on instinct his body just decided to walk that direction when Izuku tried not to. Izuku arrived at there realizing his body moved where he wanted to see heroes fight just out of instinct. As Izuku was about to walk off, as he saw Bakugo trapped in the sludge villain. Without Izuku thinking much about it, Izuku rushed in to try and help him. Izuku throwing his book bag at the sludge villain eye, blinding it for a couple of seconds before the sludge villain attacked again. As Izuku tried to use his claws or fingers trying to get Bakugo out of the sludge villain's grasp. As All Might got inspired at this just like the original, and threw a Detroit smash at it, making a mini tornado, changing the weather in the process of this, saving Bakugo and Izuku from the sludge villain. Just like the original, All Might would have offered Izuku his quirk, Izuku instantly taking it without a second thought. All Might said to Izuku to meet him at Dagobah Beach tomorrow morning. as Izuku agreed on this as they went to go train there. When Izuku arrived at home, he decided to go lay on his bed and forget about having a shower, because he had 3 months before he had to go back to middle school. So he thought, why not just sit here for a while? Izuku said, nodding into his unconscious mind. These next 3 months of training was brutal to Izuku. Izuku gaining twice as much muscle as he would have in the original anime, as All Might would have deemed him worthy in this sort of scenario, giving Izuku his quirk a couple months earlier than the original, as All Might was teaching Izuku for the next 4 days before middle school started again, how to use One for All at its best capacity, as Izuku managed to pick up on this and able to use around about 25 to 30% of One for All at the start. Just remember, in this timeline, Izuku has twice as much muscle as he did in the original, so I'm going off this. As Izuku arrived at his middle school that day, as Izuku walked into his first lesson with everyone staring and laughing at him just like usual. Oi, nerd! What do you think you're still doing here? I thought I told you to kill yourself. And also, I thought I told you to get away your application towards UA. That's my school, you damn nerd. You better take away that application right now or I will kill you, Bakugo shouted. Izuku not flinching, because in this timeline, Izuku would have trained with Gran Torino, and that shit fucking is terrifying. If you've seen the movie and seen All Might's flashbacks, Jesus Christ. As Izuku would have just ignored it, with Bakugo grabbing Izuku's collar, as a brown-haired girl that looked to be around about 5'11" came into the room, seeing Bakugo bullying Izuku again, as she intervened, punching Bakugo in the head, knocking him 2 feet back. What do you think you're doing, bitch? Get out of my way, Bakugo shouted. This damn nerd needs to be taught a lesson for not to be messing with my hero school. Huh, your hero school? You seem more like a villain than a hero, this mystery girl said, as Bakugo just shouted, Shut up, Kyrie, and move. Let me kill this damn nerd so he doesn't deserve to be in UA, Bakugo shouted at her. Settle down, everyone, settle down, with the teacher walking into the room. Okay, class, we've got PE today, and we've got a little bit of science to do. So everyone go change into your gym uniforms. As everyone went to the changing rooms, his Bakugo friend and Izuku like usual. But when Izuku lifted up his shirt, everyone looked at 2 scars Izuku had on his body from using One for All. One on his hand and one on his bare forearm. If you guys are wondering what these scars are, they basically look like the one from the battle training arc when Izuku was in the forest fighting Muscular, but not as bad. What the hell happened to Izuku's left arm? Everyone was thinking, as Bakugo just shouted at Izuku, Where the hell did you get those scars from, you nerd? As Izuku just brushed him off again, as Bakugo got an explosion ready to shoot it at Izuku, with Izuku just ducking and sweeping Bakugo's legs from under him, knocking him on his face, making Bakugo pissed as all hell. You damn nerd! Bakugo shouted, as the teacher just walked in. Okay, class, that's enough. Get onto the field now and start your warm-up. As Izuku walked out, getting glared by Kyrie and all the other girls. All the girls that treat him like shit, as Kyrie noticed his left arm. As Kyrie ran up to him and asking him what the hell happened to his left arm. As Izuku just had a blank expression saying, I worked so hard, my skin ripped, and give me this. That's such bullshit, Izuku. Tell me what happened. As Kyrie got closer to him, saying, Come on, just tell me. I told you the truth. I trained so hard that my skin ripped off. That is true. Fine then, if you're not gonna tell me, I'll force it out of you. As Kyrie just walked off back to her class, because in Japan, girls and boys' classes are different, as they did their physical exercises with Izuku, way surpassing his normal classmates, as they all just stared at Izuku with the big difference he's had in the next 3-4 months of him only training, as Izuku was told to throw a ball by using his quirk if he had one, as most of his classmates just started laughing at him, as Izuku just smirked with a devilish grin, stating that, You really want me to use my quirk? Izuku said, Yeah, go right ahead, kid, if you have one, as the teacher just let out a little giggle, knowing this kid was quirkless. as Izuku got into a baller stance, getting ready to throw the ball, as Izuku just thought, you know what, let's just drop some draws, as Izuku just charged all the way up to 35% and threw the ball at the max in his strength he could, throwing the ball with a giant boom, sending the ball over 3,500 meters, as this shocked everyone there, but royally pissed off Bakugo, just like the original when Izuku first used his quirk in the Apprehension test. Izuku? As Kyrie looked at him with a shocked expression as she was stuttering on her words, as most of the people there came rushing to Izuku, thrubbing him around, saying, "Where the hell did you get a quirk from, you Deku?" As Bakugo pushed them all aside, saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill you!" Bakugo shouted at Izuku, as Bakugo threw an explosion at Izuku, with Izuku sweeping Bakugo's legs under him, pushing him, knocking him on the floor, as everyone there just started laughing with Bakugo falling on his ass, as this royally pissed off Bakugo saying, "This isn't over, you damn nerd!" As Bakugo tried to throw a right hook, as the principal came into the little field wondering how everyone was doing, as he saw Bakugo trying to fight Izuku, as the principal just ignored it, but when Izuku threw a 5% Detroit smash at Bakugo's stomach, sending him through a wall, the principal intervened. "What is going on here?" the principal said, as Kyrie spoke up saying, Bakugo was bullying Izuku, so Izuku defending himself by using his quirk. "Bullshit, Izuku doesn't have a quirk, he's quirkless," said with a bit of venomous in his tone. "Yes he does, he just sent Bakugo flying, because Bakugo was bullying him," Kyrie said. "From my point of view, it looked like Izuku was bullying Bakugo. Izuku, principal's office now." As Izuku just walked off to the principal's office with Kyrie not far behind him. As Izuku got dressed back into his school uniform, walking to the principal's office. As when he got there, he saw the principal with Bakugo in a little neck brace from breaking his back a little bit. "Izuku Midoriya, come sit here now, please." As Izuku went to go sit there, as Bakugo rambled on, stating that this fucking Deku should be expelled, as Izuku just sat there with a crossed expression on his face. "Katsuki Bakugo, would you shut up?" as the principal shouted. So, because this is just a one-off type of thing, Izuku would be expended for 3 days, as Bakugo was just having a warning. As this royally pissed off Izuku, standing up for himself in this timeline, because the amount of confidence he would have got from Gran Torino beating the shit out of him for those 3 months would have knocked some sense into him, as Izuku stood up with a crossed expression on his face. "Why should I get punished when he started something that I did to shock the entire class?" Izuku said. "I threw that ball with my quirk 3,500 meters, and he just royally attacked me for no reason. You think this is a good reason to expel me? Or expend me for 3 days? Huh. Izuku, sit back down and don't let this tone with your teacher. Actually, no, I will take this tone with you, because you're not giving Bakugo the same punishment as I am. So either give him the same punishment because you're paying more attention to him because, ooh, his quirk is so flashy. That type of bullshit doesn't work in the real world, then does it? If you don't give Bakugo the same punishment right at this very moment, I'll just keep on coming back here and back here until you've had enough of me. You got it?" Izuku said, as the principal just said, "Fine then." As the principal just looked over the tapes that they had outside, as they saw Bakugo starting something, as the principal said, "You're excused, Midoriya. You're also expended for 3 days, Bakugo." As Izuku and Bakugo both walked home with a 3-day suspension. "Alright boys, time to get into the spicy stuff. If you are not under the age of 15 or 16, please leave the video at this very moment. You have now been warned." Alright, we're going to start our video off with Izuku walking home from shopping because he's still on his 3-day suspension on the second day. As Izuku arrived home, noticing a note on the table. Looks like Mom is going to be late home, isn't she? As Izuku was walking into the bathroom, starting to undress. As he was walking in, he saw Kyrie fully in the nude, with her breasts out. "Oh shit," Izuku said, as Kyrie grabbed him by his collar, throwing him into the bathroom, kicking him in the stomach. "I always knew you were a pervert, Izuku. You were always clumsy and never defended yourself, but I never realized there was something wrong with your brain too. You're nothing more than a useless, forgotten boy," her tits bouncing with her movement. As Izuku threw himself throughout that door, saying that why the hell would he want to look at her naked for? This making her sulk a little bit, putting her head down. "Why, Izuku, you pervert!" kneeing him in the face, throwing him into the bathroom with a bleeding nose. What none of them realized was that this bath was being lighter than usual, bright, and the reflection was shining like the sun. Izuku was soaked into it like a weird void that was just fading from white to black. Izuku couldn't breathe, but he was being thrown into a black hole. At least that's what he felt like. As Kyrie said, "Izuku, where are you?" As she was confused, as Izuku was being pulled down more and more, as a giant water wave came up from the ground from another place, as Izuku shot out of it, hitting the ceiling, saying, "Oh God, ow," Izuku said. As when Izuku came to a second later, he realized he was standing in front of a weird woman with 3 dots on her head and pink hair. What Izuku didn't realize was she was fully naked a second later. As he turned around and said, "I am so sorry," Izuku said. While he was saying this, he tripped and fell on his head, knocking himself out. As Izuku woke up an hour and 30 minutes later, Izuku found himself laying on a couch that looked unfamiliar to him. He thought seeing that girl naked was a dream. So he got up and saw a girl, the same girl, with pink hair and red dots on her forehead. "Don't move around so much, you're gonna hurt yourself again," she said. As Izuku asked her, "Why is he here?" "Oh, I accidentally summoned you somehow. I really wished really hard for a person to come through another world and you appeared." "I'm sorry," Miharu said, as Izuku introduced himself as Izuku Midoriya. As the pink-haired girl introduced herself as Miharu. I can't pronounce her second name correctly, so you guys have to deal with the first name basis. As they were introducing themselves, a girl with big ass titties and red hair with black eyes came into the room, wondering where Miharu was, as she stared intently with a red blush on her face at Izuku, with Izuku being sort of shirtless but sort of not, his clothes being still wet. As she stared intently at him, wondering and inspecting him, screaming, "He'll do!" punching him in the stomach, but Izuku remembered this as he blocked it. "Excuse me, lady, but that's a bit harsh," Izuku said. "You don't punch someone in the face by saying they'll do." As she apologized, as she grabbed Izuku, forcing him into her chest. Miharu, I don't think she likes that." "Shut up, Miharu, I'm on cloud 9 here," she said, as Miharu got angry, using a pinkish type of explosion to blow half of that room up, getting a giant cloud of smoke around the area, letting her loosen her grip around Izuku. As Miharu explained to Izuku and said sorry for her big sister acting this way. As Izuku said, "It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm sort of used to that type of stuff happening. It normally happens in my world." As they were both sat on a little ledge type bench area near a water fountain. As Izuku and Miharu were both talking. As 2 little girls came up to Izuku, staring at him with love in their eyes, and hugged him by his legs, saying, pick me, marry me, please." Both of those young girls said. let's get some things straight here. There's only a 5% male population in that world, while 95% of them are female. So don't call me a predator, okay, boys? As Izuku was really confused, but he just stood up and picked them up by using 2% one for all, saying that, "Are you lost, little girls? Do you need help?" Izuku said, as Miharu tugged on his shirt, telling him to look around. Izuku, I think we need to run," Miharu said, as Miharu grabbed Izuku and they started running. Just like the original counterparts of the timelines, Izuku wouldn't know what would be happening until Miharu told him that there's only 5% of the male population here, and 95% are female. "So, the men are an endangered species?" Izuku said. "Yes, basically. I think we need to run far enough away to hide," Izuku said. "How far do you think that would be?" "They won't let up. They'll keep on tracking you down to the ends of the earth," Miharu said. "Well, this is our last option then," as Izuku grabbed Miharu bridal style, jumping from building to building like Gran Torino's sprinting type of thing that he does in Season 2, Episode 10. As Izuku was jumping in between buildings by using 5% of one for all. As he managed to escape those females for now, but what Izuku didn't realize, 2 of the females were tracking him from the sky, as they sent out a little beacon to tell everyone where he was, as just like the original they were surrounded by females. Unlike the original, Izuku wasn't unconscious, as Izuku and Miharu were both wondering and worrying how they're going to get out of this mess, but Izuku already had a plan set out, as Miharu's sister, Misaru, I think that is, I'm butchering it quite a file here, as she came rushing up to him stating that, "You're about to be completely mine," she said, as her eyes grew red, as Izuku said, "No, I'm not gonna be, and I'll see you girls later." Izuku bowing his head, jumping with 20% one for all, out into the air. This shocking all of the females there, but now they just wanted him more. Unlike the original counters parts of this series, Izuku would have jumped the other direction far away from Miharu's house, landing a little further outside of the city. With Izuku just sat there pouting, same with Miharu. "So, do you know how I can get back to Earth?" Izuku said, trying to catch his breath from jumping really far in the air. Miharu had an idea of how to get Izuku back to Earth, but they'll have to get into the same bath as when Izuku arrived. As Izuku said, "Alright then, where's your house?" As Miharu pointed to the direction of her house. As Izuku got into the crouching position, telling her to get on his back, which she did so, as Izuku charged 20% of one for all, jumping at his max strength as he could, going flying all the way to halfway into the city. The moment Izuku landed at the first jump, the girls noticed he was back in the town after an hour, as they started running to the same direction he was being thrown at. As Izuku arrived at Miharu's place, seeing her sister running around the house trying to find Miharu and Izuku. She's doing this to think that Izuku and Miharu might be hiding here, trying to get Izuku out of the line of sight of her, but this wouldn't have stopped her no matter what. She's going to get Izuku to marry her. "Izuku, where are you?" this redhead girl said, moving around the house like she's possessed, as Izuku and Miharu both arrived at her house again with a big boom at the front of the door. The red-haired girl heard this, came rushing up to the door, seeing Miharu there with Izuku. The moment she saw Izuku, she ran out, jumping at him, with Izuku dodging it just barely. "You're not gonna touch me, Izuku!" As she jumped at him again. This time, she connected her breast with his head, this time mauling him like a dog, petting its owner, as she just kept on putting his head further and further into her breast. Slowly, softly, heard a moan. 30 seconds of this went by as Miharu had enough trying to get her big sister off of him. As Miharu's head grew a little bit of pink, as a little explosion came between Izuku and her big sister. As Izuku was being dragged out of there by Miharu by the collar, being thrown into the bathroom, losing her big sister in the process. As Miharu started to strip naked, saying, "Come on, Izuku, get into the bath quick before she comes back." Wait, why the hell are you naked? Izuku said. "We need to reenact what we did. Come on, get naked," she said. As Miharu's big sister would have heard this, as she came rushing down the door, breaking it down, as she said, "Miharu, you're not running away from me. He's my man meat," she said. As she jumped at Izuku with Miharu's head glowing once again, opening the portal. This time it's set from Miharu going through. It's her big sister as well. Once they entered through the portal, a black abyss that looked like black water came rushing through, pushing them through the portal into the normal world with quirks. As we cut to Kyrie's point of view, her sobbing in front of the bathroom, or the bath to be more precise, as a giant glowing white light came from the bath, as shut out Izuku trying to gasp for air. "Holy shit, what the hell was that?" Izuku said, as Kyrie's eyes started to get red. "Izuku," she said, hugging him, crying in the process of this. "Why did you leave me? Why are you so mean?" she said. As through this, Miharu popped out, saying, "Well, this is Earth? I thought it would be more roomy," she said, as Kyrie looked down to see one red-headed girl and one pink-headed girl. As Kyrie blushed a lot, but in this timeline the only thing will be a big difference here. She wouldn't be annoyed, she would be really, really, really confused. As Izuku explained what happened in the other world once they exited the bathroom, as Kyrie was staring daggers at Miharu and her big sister. Don't ask me for her name, she's in the thumbnail, dudes. As Izuku was being mauled by those two girls, having both there, hugging Izuku's arms, shoving their breasts in there as well. This annoying Kyrie even more, as Kyrie got into a furious rage and separated them from Izuku, but when she did, they instantly got reattached to him like glue. "Excuse me, but why are you attached to Izuku like that?" "Well, he's a boy, of course. We'll love him." What are you on about?" Kyrie said, as Miharu explained to her that there's only 5% of their race actually have males. As the 95%, the rest of it are females, so males are extinct to be race. "They're like an endangered species," Mira said. "And when you talk about this other world, so basically you're from another world that Izuku got teleported to, and you basically got arrived here when she used it again, am I correct?" As Miharu nodded. "Okay, let me just get one thing straight here. You like Izuku because he's a boy and they're extinct in your world, basically, almost." Miharu nodded. So, beware there's more boys here than Izuku, right?" As Miharu's sister ears perked up at this. "More boys? But are they as strong as Izuku though? Because when he was in our world, he could jump high enough to destroy a building," Miharu's sister said. That's common here. People here have superpowers. Basically, they have powers to either destroy or create," Kyrie said. "For me, I have super strength. I can increase my power by 5% or 50 times the normal human strength," Kyrie said, punching a hole in the wall, with Izuku saying, "Kyrie, what the fuck?" As Kyrie said, "Oops, sorry, Izuku. That was out of habit." "You willing to pay for that though?" Izuku said. Yes," Kyrie said cautionally, as Izuku looked at the time. Oh shit. It's 12. I have training tomorrow morning, don't I? Ah, damn it, Izuku said. Wait, you have training? With who? No one special, Izuku said. Well, I'm gonna go to bed. I'll see you 3 tomorrow. Wait, where are we gonna sleep? She said. You go sleep in the guest room. There's 2 beds in there, you can sleep in there. As Izuku went upstairs, and instantly, the moment he hit his bed, he passed out. As we do a time skip for the next day, Izuku waking up from his bed of his slumber. As he was waking up, he could hear a soft moan coming from the side of him when Izuku moved his head. As he opened his eyes to see Miharu's sister squeezing onto him like a body pillow. As Izuku said, Miharu's sister, what are you doing? As she just, 5 more minutes, please. As Izuku struggled to get out of her grasp, as Izuku decided to use One for All. At this point, he can control the same amount of percentages he could before, just an extra percentage. Now he can control 31% with minimal ease without much strain. As Izuku managed to get out of her grasp and walked downstairs to make himself something to eat, as he saw Kyrie with Miharu talking with each other, making food. As for the sake of it, let's just say they had a full English breakfast. Sausage, eggs, bacon, and so forth. As Izuku ate that up, said thank you, everything like that, and zoomed out of the house, getting to go Dagobah Beach in 5 minutes flat using One for All. As Izuku arrived there in no time flat, seeing All Might there in his skinny form, as Izuku said, "Hey All Might, what's up?" Izuku said, as All Might gave him the rundown, stating that he's losing time, as he needs to Izuku to train harder, so Izuku can get over percentages of One for All. He wants Izuku to at least get 60% control before he gets into UA. He thought it was impossible at the start, but All Might thought about it, as he knew this can come to fruition, as he just has to train Izuku harder. As we do a time skip for the last couple of months before the UA entrance exam, Izuku's been training with All Might intensely, doing the same routine every day but way more harder. As Izuku through those months has gone for 40, 50, 55, 60, as Izuku reached his goal at 60%. During this time, Miharu's figured out how to open the gate in between them worlds, as Izuku would have asked All Might if they wanted to go to this certain place to train, as All Might would have agreed to this, hopping through the portal, appearing in a weird bathroom, All Might said, as All Might debuffed into his skinny form, seeing his injury weirdly healed. As All Might was really confused at this, as he asked Miharu how the hell his injury got healed. As Miharu said, "Well, I think it's because of the world difference here. I'm guessing your injury must have healed when you were going through," Miharu said, really confusedly. As All Might and Izuku trained there in the literal forest areas, during this time Miharu's sister would have gotten really attached to Izuku to the point she wanted to mate with him. In other words, fuck him. The moment Izuku arrived to his training grounds, he saw a bunch of knocked down trees from All Might punching the air, as All Might noticed that he was a little bit stronger. Instead of 40% of his prime power, he's now 60% prime. So if he went to go fight the Nomu, could easily take it out in at least 250 punches. I mean by 250, 250 or less. As All Might Izuku trained there for the rest of the weeks before the UA entrance exam. As the UA entrance exam came around, as this is the end of the dialogue. Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the What If. As Izuku was running to UA, getting ready to get his first day on, as Izuku arrived at the front gates of UA in his full school uniform, basically just like the original. The other thing that's different here, Izuku wouldn't have tripped, as Izuku walked into the practical exam very prominently, as Bakugo would have saw this and got annoyed by Izuku's presence and being at UA, as Izuku would have walked through to see President Mike giving a lecture about what they're going to do, as a boy with glasses would have stand up like the original, but he wouldn't have shouted at Izuku in this timeline, as that thing went on as normal, as they go to the practical exam, as Prison Mike was telling everybody how to set everything up and what they needed to do, as Izuku stood in front of the gate, stretching, getting ready, as he saw a girl with brunette hair standing there, very, very nervous, as Izuku walked over to her shouting, "Hey, Kyrie, what's up?" Izuku shouted. As Kyrie turned around to see Izuku's ripped, muscle-toned body, she would have blushed at this, as Izuku would have said to her, "Let's have a bet, shall we? Whoever gets the most points will give the other person $20? Izuku said. "Let you're on, Izuku. When I win, I'm expecting that $20 from you." "Same here, Kyrie. So let the best man or woman win." As Prison Mike was saying 3, 2, 1, as before he could say go, Izuku powered up to 50% one for all and blitzed and disappeared out of everyone's sight, just like the body flicker from Naruto, or when All Might used 40% of his prime power to get Izuku and Aizawa and Froppy and Mineta out of the way, as Izuku managed to destroy around about 25 robots with 50% one for all in the matter of seconds. This made all the judges surprised, but not All Might, because he knew how strong Izuku was. But it still shocked him nonetheless how much control he got in a couple of months, or 9 months to be more precise, as Izuku would have destroyed more and more robots through this time, just getting around about 297 points, surpassing All Might's record by a massive margin, as Kyrie was finding some robots only to be able to get 3 3-pointers, 5 6-pointers, and 22 1-pointers, just getting a decent score, just enough to get around about 5th place on the entrance exam scoreboards, as Izuku would have destroyed a little bit more robots, a couple of 1-pointers because he wanted to save some 3-pointers for the other contestants, as Izuku would have heard the ground rumble just like the original, but instead of just standing there, Izuku wanted to test his power very confidently, as Izuku would have powered up to 65%, straining himself, but he knew this had to be done for a giant behemoth like the 0-pointer, as Izuku would have jumped in at this, as he would have saw a girl under the rubble, as he would have completely ignored this and flew right back down, picking up the rubble using 5% and flinging himself forward using 60% to try and get there as fast as he can so he can destroy this robot in time, as Izuku jumped into the air shouting, "Detroit, smash!" as the robot of the 0-pointer's head evaporated and a giant wind pressure like the Tiras versus the Villains test, basically with All Might fighting Bakugo and Izuku. That amount of wind pressure came from Izuku's fist, destroying a line from the city, basically destroying around about 2 blocks worth of the city, as all of the students there was absolutely gobsmacked shocked, as when Izuku landed, he was immediately crowded by students saying, "That's so cool, what's your quirk?" They were all crowding around him, shouting this at all of him. Around this point, Izuku would have been really nervous, but he still kept his posture, as Izuku would have explained that his power is just super strength and nothing else, as they wasn't satisfied with this answer, but they knew this is the only amount they can get out of him, as Izuku walked over to this brunette girl, asking her if she was okay. She would have replied saying, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you for asking," the mystery girl said, as you all know her as Ochako Araka, as Izuku would have helped her up from the ground up, asking her if she was okay because she winced a little bit. "I might have just sprained my ankle a little bit," she said, as Izuku would have helped her up to find Recovery Girl. Izuku would have found Recovery Girl as she would have been healed like the original. The moment Izuku got home, he was greeted with Miharu and her sister, hugging him really tightly. Seeing Izuku had little scratches on his face, wondering how he got this, Miharu kept on poking him, just to see if she could get any answer out of him, which she got none, only an answer saying, "I'm fine, I wasn't harmed in any way. I only got a couple of scratches from debris. It's fine, Izuku said. Come on then, Izuku, let's take you into the shower then, Miharu's sister said. I can't remember her name off by heart. I really do need to learn it. I can't pronounce it correctly, so I am very sorry. As Miharu said, no, I want to clean him. You sure? You're too young. She pouted. As Izuku and Miharu and her sister would have gone to the bathroom, as Izuku would have blushed at this, but after these 9 months of being each other, Izuku would have gotten really used to it, letting them do it, as Izuku would have laid in bed as this week went past of them mauling him, hugging him, and giving him such love and perfection, as Izuku would have waken up to a knock at the door, seeing Kyrie with her acceptance letter, and Izuku's on the floor, as Izuku and Kyrie would have opened those at the same time, as Kyrie would have said, "Where's my $20, Izuku?" she said, in a very confident tone, as Izuku would have gotten his hologram message written to him by All Might, same with Kyrie. At the start they would have congratulated them on making it into UA High School, as they would have said their classrooms at the exact same time. As the next thing would have happened is Izuku's score would have shocked Kyrie to the core, saying, 300, she said in a very shocked expression. Izuku, you just beat All Might's record, Kyrie said, as Kyrie would have gone up her seat saying, no fucking way you beat his score. They must have rigged it somehow, she said, very shocked. And where's my money? Izuku would have said, pointing to her score, her getting 4th place behind Ijiro Kirishima and Bakugo, as Izuku would have been handed his $20, which I don't know what that is in yen, so just be careful with me, dudes. As Izuku would have walked upstairs to get his clothes ready for the next day of UA, because they would have gotten their uniforms the exact same day they would have gotten their acceptance letters. As Izuku and Kyrie would have woken up that day, walking to UA's campus, but before Izuku could leave, he got hugged and kissed by Miria's sister and Miria herself. I'm pronouncing the names incorrectly now because it's literally 12 AM for me. I do apologize. As Izuku would have walked out the front door, meeting Kyrie at the front gates of UA, as he would have chatted all the way to the 1A door room. As they arrived there, Izuku said, "Wow, this door is huge," Izuku said, in a very weirded tone, as Izuku could hear shouting inside as he peeked through to see Bakugo and Ida fighting like cannon. As they both walked through, and Izuku got stared at by everyone, as Kirishima spoke up saying, "Yo, you're the guy who beat All Might record 2 times, dude. Holy shit," Kirishima said, as everything like that went like the original. The moment Izuku went into the changing rooms, he was stared at by most of the guys in there. "Whoa, dude, what's with the scars, man? That's so manly." Izuku would have had more scars like the original. Izuku would have had his 2 main scars from his left arm, but they won't be as damaged. He can still move his arm, but he can break his left arm around about 7 more times before it breaks off like manga does. As Izuku would have gotten fully dressed, as he went outside, he was being stared at by the girls, as Izuku would have felt like this the moment he went into middle school. As Izuku stood there waiting for the teacher to come back out, as Aizawa came out with a ball and a meter tester, which is his phone, more or less. As Aizawa would have chucked the ball to Izuku, asking him to throw it. Excuse me, sir, but do you want me to use my quirk?" Izuku said. Yeah, go right ahead." As Izuku got into his ready position, as charged up 65% at the bat, as he threw the ball with his max strength as he could muster this time. The moment he threw the ball, there was a massive, and I mean a massive ass shockwave to the point it shattered most of the windows that are in front of the UA campus and the dorm rooms, as Aizawa's face went from sleepy to awake instantly when he saw this happen, as the ball went from 0 all the way to infinity, as this shocked Aizawa mentally and physically, this knocking him out of his sleepy stupor that he was in, as the recoil from this shockwave hit the students finally, knocking them all off their feet, knocking them into the walls, as Aizawa cancelled out most of Izuku's quirk that was still left over, creating a massive dust cloud from using his quirk. Izuku was standing there, rubbing his arm back and forth from straining it a little bit, as Izuku would have looked around to see how much damage he caused. "Oops, I'm sorry," Izuku said, as Aizawa said, "Don't be sorry, holy shit, I've never seen anything wake me up that far before, god damn," Aizawa said, as Izuku would have tried to help as many classmates as he could, helping them all out, as they were all in like a vegetated state. They all couldn't move because they were in that shocked a student had that much power. But Bakugo was beyond, and I mean beyond, confused and pissed. He wouldn't have run to Izuku in this timeline because he knew Izuku would have beaten the shit out of him in a matter of seconds. Screw that, in the matter of milliseconds, Bakugo was thinking, as Izuku would have helped all the classmates out, this causing a couple of teachers to come rushing down, asking if everything was okay, as this teacher was Vlad King and Nezu, as they all would have asked if every single student was alright. Yes, they're okay, just a couple of scratches and everything, but nothing Recovery Girl can't fix, as Nezu got Recovery Girl to come downstairs to help them out with this, as they would have continued it like the original, but Izuku would have gotten way more praise than what he was happening, as he would have been put on a pedestal at the start of the anime, as everything went like the original, but Aizawa decided to single out Izuku because of this raw, unstoppable strength, Aizawa was thinking, as Izuku would have set out all the tests, everyone getting their same tests like the original, but Bakugo and Kyrie would have tried more harder, Kyrie getting around about 5th place, Bakugo getting 6th in this timeline, as everyone else got their same scores except from Izuku getting 1st place. You guys may be thinking Aizawa's playing favoritism at the start. Yes and no. Aizawa sees more potential in Izuku than any other student, that's probably why, as Aizawa was submits them to go home that day. As Izuku managed to get home, Kyrie stopped him and asked him if they could have a little sparring session at the Dagobah beach. Izuku would have accepted this, but at a price. Izuku wouldn't go all out, as Kyrie would have said, "That's fine, I don't want to go against your full strength anyways, what you did in the apprehension test," she said. As they would have arrived at Dagobah beach, as Izuku and Kyrie would have gone into their fighting position straight off bat, as Kyrie said, "Let's go then, fight me Izuku." As if you guys could imagine what Saitama did to Genos at the start, teasing him a little bit, as Izuku would have done that, as Kyrie shouted at him, "Come on, why won't you fight me seriously? Go all out," she said, as Izuku would have gone to his serious stance like Saitama, as he would have disappeared from her line of sight, reappearing in front of her, as Izuku would have done death, as Izuku threw a 65% smash at Kyrie, this sending out a giant ass shockwave, but he stopped them up before he hit her face, this doing the same thing like Saitama did but at the ocean, splitting it in half, creating a giant typhoon in the middle of the ocean, this terrifying Kyrie beyond repair. He just went all out, as she turned around to see a giant typhoon in the middle. "Holy shit, if that connected I would have died," she said, but still she was really confident. "Holy shit, Izuku, you have that much power? No wonder your quirk didn't manifest," she said. When Izuku got home, he was greeted with a giant rugby tackle to the ground, this being Miharu, as Miharu was beyond excited, thinking that she's going to be in the same school as Izuku. As Miharu said, "Izuku, I'm going to transfer into your school. How cool's that?" She said. "Wait, how did you get into..." "Oh, All Might," Izuku said. "It's All Might, isn't it?" Yes it is." And Izuku just said, "Okay, that's cool. What class are you going to go in?" "Class 1A, she said very confidently and very innocently. "Miharu, you're going to be in the same class as me," Izuku said. As Miharu's sister, Miharu and Miharu's sister, same similar names. I'm just gonna say that. As Miharu's sister walked through the door, telling them that their dinner will be ready soon. She stared at Izuku's little cut face a little bit. "Izuku, where'd you get that cut from?" she said, walking over to him. "Well, I used 100% of my power in the sports apprehension test, and I may not have sent a giant shockwave to the point I destroyed probably 15% of the school," Izuku said. As Izuku just started to laugh. As that day went like normal, the next day arrived with Izuku walking to school with Miharu, and Kyrie was both walking next to Izuku all the way to the UA classroom. As Aizawa was sleeping out of there, telling Miharu to wait here while Izuku and Kyrie both walked inside and took their seats. As Aizawa stood at his podium, saying they have a new transfer student coming in today from out of state. As Aizawa told Miharu to come in, when Miharu instantly came in, all the boys in that room, Mineta, came up from their seats saying, "Whoa, she's hot," minus Izuku and Bakugo and Ida. She introduced herself as Miharu, and "she'll be really nice to meet you all," she said, as she stared over to Izuku, giving him a slight tease wink. As most of the perverts that were there were staring daggers at Izuku. Die, 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 like most all anime protagonists do. As Miharu walked over to Izuku, giving him a hug and a kiss on his cheek, saying she'll enjoy being in the same class as him this semester, she said in a very seductive tone. As their day went as normal, with All Might pushing down the door saying, "I am here, in a weirdly position." As All Might would have pressed a button revealing 26 new suits for everyone to put on, as they all went to the changing rooms and put all their suits on. As for Izuku's suit, I would say around about a mix between his Series 4 gloves going all the way up to his forearm, and for his mask, I would say he has no mask at all. As Izuku walked out with the rest of his classmates like the original Kana, as Izuku would have been assigned a team. As this is where we're going to leave the video off today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys want more of this series, trying to get to 100 likes, and I'll try and make another 1-hour episode of this series. Without further ado, I'll see you guys later. Bye.